Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Free Advice Friday. Looking forward to being back with you. Looking forward to hanging out. Looking forward to doing this again. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I was able to do a Free Advice Friday live stream, but ready to hang out with you, ready to answer your voiceover business and marketing questions right here on YouTube this afternoon. So don't be shy. If you've got a question that you would like to ask and get answered related to the business and marketing side of voiceover, this is your opportunity to ask that question and get it answered. I do try to come on every week. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but I'm here now. I'm ready to hang out. I'm ready to answer your questions and looking forward to spending some time with you guys today for Free Advice Friday. I want to say thank you for a lot of feedback. The last episode of Free Advice Friday that I did, got into talking a little bit about AI and talking specifically about the AI voice modeling jobs that are being posted on online casting. And I shared some thoughts on those types of jobs and why you want to be leery of those jobs. I don't think that you need to avoid them altogether completely. I do think that some of them can be potentially good, lucrative opportunities on an ongoing basis. I think a lot of them are not, though. And I shared some thoughts on that, and feedback for that has been overwhelmingly positive. I want to try to educate you as much as possible. That's what I'm here for, right? If I can help you understand what to look for or help you understand why this AI job is good and that AI job is bad, that's better for all of us. That's better for the industry as a whole. And so thank you for all of the positive feedback on that. If you want to go back and listen to it, if you missed it, that's on the YouTube channel. It's from a Free Advice Friday stream that I believe happened on August hang on, let me check. Let me get the date. It happened on August the 4th. I think it was August the 4th. So you can go back and take a look for that one if you're interested in hearing what I had to say about that. But here we are now, Free Advice Friday, live on YouTube. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for watching. Elizabeth, I see you. Dion, thank you for coming. Elizabeth says, it's the first live stream I get to attend. Well, congratulations on finally making it to one of the live streams. Looking forward to spending some time with you today. Guys, if you do have a question that you would like to get answered, if you could just do me one quick favor, if you could put a Q beside your question when you are typing it into the comments, it helps it to stand out on my screen, makes it a little bit easier for me to find it and to ensure that I am able to answer it. But at this point, the floor is open. I would love to have the opportunity to talk to you. I would love to have the opportunity to answer your questions. So feel free, don't be shy. That's what we are here for today on Free Advice Friday. Just remember, stick that Q beside your question before you type it into the comments. So let's see where we're going first. Stevie says, what are your top 5 keys to LinkedIn success? All right, let's see. Top 5. Number 1, you've got to be present on the platform on a consistent basis. You cannot just show up to LinkedIn once a month and expect to see results. I think you should probably be trying to check your LinkedIn at least a few times a week, ideally daily if possible, even if it's just for 10 or 15 minutes. So being present would be one of them. Number 2 would be being strategic about who you're inviting into your network. Going on to LinkedIn, sending a bunch of LinkedIn connection requests to a whole bunch of voice actors, that is not the solution. And so you've got to be very strategic about who you're inviting to be into your network. We're looking to build a network of leads, prospects, and clients, ideally. My number 3 tip is don't sell right out of the gate. One of the pet peeves across the board on LinkedIn is people who slide into the DMs and immediately try to sell them something. And so I think that it's important that you build that relationship out first and don't just come right out of the gate trying to sell. Number 4, I think there's a lot of value in attaching a personal note when you send a connection request. I know that there are people out there that disagree with me on that and say that it's not necessary. It's something that I've done all along, and I've always found it to work for me and for my business and for the plan that I've been running on LinkedIn. And then let's see, what's number 5? Number 5 is going to be to share content. It's not enough to be a lurker on LinkedIn. And being on LinkedIn and commenting on what other people are doing is really great, but really you need a balanced strategy. You need to be on LinkedIn consistently. You need to be commenting on stuff that's being posted from the people in your network, and you need to add value to your network through sharing some quality content as well. So those would be my 5 tips for using LinkedIn. Let me just say as well, if you go to VOpreneur.com, and if you click over onto the store icon on VOpreneur.com, scroll down there, making money with LinkedIn. I do offer a 2+ hour masterclass that is a deep dive into how I use LinkedIn. And that class gets updated just about every year. And once you have purchased that masterclass, you will always have access to the updates. So if you are looking to implement LinkedIn into your strategy, again, go to VOpreneur.com and click on store, and then just look for Making Money with LinkedIn. It's right there. It's available for instant purchase and for instant access. So you can sign up for that course and start watching it this afternoon if you would like. Great question. LinkedIn is a very, very valuable social media platform, and it's one that I think that people should be paying a little bit more attention to. All right, Dwayne says, I'm just getting started looking for my first booking. If I wanted to focus on one P2P site, do you have a suggestion on which one and tips to make it work for me? All right, this is going to be a tricky one, Dwayne, but I'll do my best to answer this for you. I think if you are strictly looking for quantity of opportunity, then you're probably looking at Voice123. I think that it gives the most job auditions on a daily basis, which means that there is the most a higher probability of you finding something that fits you and finding an opportunity to book. So for that reason, I would say Voice123. That being said, you cannot just sign up for Voice123 and just start auditioning at will. Voice123 is an algorithm-driven site, and it will punish you if you are submitting too many auditions, and especially if you are submitting too many auditions that are not getting thumbs ups or likes or favorites or whatever it is that they call it on the platform now. I can't even recall. But if you're going to do Voice123, it's just really important that you have a solid understanding of how that site works before you sign up. So I think if you're strictly talking about where can I get access to the most audition opportunities, and there's going to be some good stuff and there's going to be some bad stuff in there, but if you're just strictly looking at the most, I would say Voice123. If you are looking for a site where you don't have to worry about algorithms and you can just audition, you're not going to see as many auditions, but all of the audition opportunities that you see are going to be good audition opportunities. In that case, I would probably say Bidalgo is the website that you want to be looking at. So I think either one of those two would be a good first place to start. Welcome, Jeremy, and giving greetings from Atlanta. All right, Anton says, aside from the increase of AI in the public discourse, what notable trend or change have you observed since the beginning of the year that has or is impacting the VO landscape? I want to say that it was probably around 2010, 11, 12, somewhere in there, that I started seeing a really noticeable shift in online casting. I saw way more people signing up, but I did not see way more jobs being posted. And I saw way more lower quality jobs being posted. And that is the reason why I started learning how to market, because at that point, I had primarily built my business off of online casting, and I didn't want to get caught if the day ever came where I couldn't earn a decent income off of online casting. I didn't want to get caught with my pants down, so to speak. So it was around that time that I really started to learn how to market. And I have been talking about this for a decade now. Online casting has changed. The way that online casting works has changed. Are there still opportunities on online casting? Absolutely. Can you build a full-time sustainable business exclusively off of online casting? Probably not so much. Definitely the exception rather than the rule. So the trend that I have noticed this year is that more and more reputable people are starting to talk about that. I've been talking about it for a decade, but other people are starting to catch on now, and they're starting to see you've got to have other eggs in the basket. it can't just be a reliance on online casting. And so direct marketing is really starting to get more of a push. And I'm actually seeing more and more higher end talent come to me looking for coaching because they're seeing that agent opportunities are becoming fewer. They're seeing that online casting opportunities are becoming fewer, and they're realizing I'm going to have to figure out this marketing thing. And so I think that's one of the things that's going on. I think online casting is just not the same environment that it used to be. That doesn't mean there's not opportunity there. That doesn't mean there's not jobs there. That doesn't mean that you should write it off. I often get, misrepresented as being like anti-online casting. My whole thing is you just can't rely on it exclusively. So that would be one of the changes that I would see that is happening, is just the continuing evolution of online casting and how it can still be a tool in your voiceover business, but probably not the exclusive tool for opportunity in your voiceover business. Thanks for the question, Anton. Elizabeth says, okay, I'm not using a CRM and I don't know if people are reading my emails, but I don't get a response after 2 or 3 follow-ups. When can I reach out again? More specifically, these emails I sent in May. All right, Elizabeth, let's try to unpack this. If you are sending 2 or 3 emails, so you're sending your introductory email, you're sending a couple of follow-up emails, and you're not getting any responses at all, there are a couple of things that I think that we could be looking at. Number one would be, are you targeting the right people? Are you hitting the right people at the right companies? That would be the one thing that I would look at. The second thing that I would be looking at is what is in your email and the quality of your email, the content of your email. More often than not, when I work with voice actors, and one of the things that I offer in my coaching is to help you write better emails, a lot of it has to do with the way that you're writing your email. It's too long, it's saying the wrong things, it's focusing on the wrong things. So that would be the second thing that would be worth looking at, is your email itself. The third thing that I would be looking at is your demos. If your demos are great, if you've got top-notch, top-quality demos, they should be doing the selling for you. If your demos aren't on par with what else is out there in the marketplace, then all the email marketing in the world might not work for you because your demos maybe aren't up to snuff. So I would want to take a look at that. And keeping in mind, I am not a demo producer and I am not a performance coach, but I will listen to demos sometimes and be like, this is, I don't think you're there, or whatever. So that would be the third thing that I would look at. The fourth thing that I would be looking at is your website, and what kind of impression are you making on your website? It's really easy to go out and build a free site with WordPress or Wix or Squarespace or all of these different platforms that are out there. But a free website and a good website are two different things sometimes. And you've got to remember that when you're doing your direct marketing, you are competing with talent who have top-level demos, who have top-notch professional websites, who are writing top-quality emails. And so you have to be able to measure up to all of those things. If your website doesn't make a great first impression, that could be one of the other reasons why you are not seeing the responses. So those would be things that I would want to look at. That's something that we could dig into deeper, Elizabeth. In a coaching session, I would need to look at all of those different data points to try to see if there's things that we could correct. As to whether or not you could reach out again, I would say after 3 follow-ups, if you're not hearing anything, I would want to assess those things that we just talked about before I put a whole lot more effort into sending a whole bunch more emails, because I don't want to see you working harder at the wrong thing and still not producing results. I would rather take a look at your emails, your targeting, your website, your demos, and figure out, is there anything in there that we can fix that can drive the results a little bit further. I want to take a minute, guys, to mention that Voiceover Marketing Playbook 3.0 is coming back on September 12th through the 21st. This is my flagship marketing program. This is the course that was completely and totally redone and overhauled for 2023. And I actually just did another update on it last week. So it's constantly getting updated. And once you sign up for Playbook, you always get access to the updates. But if you need help with your marketing, if you need help finding your own leads, building your own client base, and becoming the consistently working voice actor that you want to be, watch for Voiceover Marketing Playbook. It is coming back September 12th through the 21st, and all of the details on that will be available at VOpreneur.com and at voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. All right, let's see. Where are we going now? Welcome, Tabs. Guy, good to see you here, Graham. Thanks for hanging out. All right, let's see. Carrie says, I'm finding success on LinkedIn in terms of impressions and likes. I tried to send a personal note to those who responded, but LinkedIn cut me off. I'm building relationships. Yeah, one of the challenges with LinkedIn, and this is honestly, it's one of my biggest frustrations with LinkedIn, is LinkedIn they have limit restrictions, but they don't tell you what the limit restrictions are. It's almost like a form of psychological warfare. So 1 month, you might be able to send 500 connections and not have any issues. But the next month, you might send 50 connections and then they cut you off. And that is one of the frustrations. And it's all a ploy to try to sell you on the next level of membership. The other thing that you do have to watch out for, though, is if you are sending too many connection requests that are not getting accepted, that can also be a factor in whether or not you get cut off. So just know that if you do get cut off, it does reset at the beginning of the month. So don't forget that you can come back, right? If you've been cut off now for August, you can come back in September and it will be reset. You'll still be able to keep going. Gustavo says, how often does it happen? Instead of just sending the VO file, clients ask you to do the work of embedding your voice to their video or PowerPoint. Ooh, this is an interesting question, Gustavo. I can tell you from my own experience that is something that pretty much never happens. Maybe once or twice in my career, I've been asked. What I would say, though, if you have the capacity to do that, if you've got some production skills that give you the ability to add voiceover to a video or add voiceover to a PowerPoint, there's no reason why you couldn't mention that as a value add to your clients. One more service that you have to offer them, but make sure that it is acknowledged up front that there's an additional charge for that, because you certainly should not be doing that type of work in your voiceover, in the budget for voiceover. So they offer you $300 to narrate an explainer video, but then they come back and they want you to add the voiceover that you did to that video. That should be an additional charge. That's a production cost. That's something totally separate. So if you've got the ability to do it, that's another little income stream for you. Just make sure that you're charging for it accordingly. But for me, it has definitely not been something that's common. I'll tell you, probably the only instance that I've ever had of that is I've done work with realtors in the past, working on virtual tours and doing narration for virtual tours. And every once in a while, one of those realtors would ask me if I could add my voiceover file to the video file that they had, which it's not hard to do. If you've got the right software anyway, it's not hard to do. But again, that would always be an upcharge. Natalie says, is most big commercial work still only accessible through agents or P2P? Natalie, this is an interesting question, and I think we could probably take this in a couple of different directions, depending on what you mean by most big commercial work. If you are talking about national commercials, then yes, primarily national commercials are going to come through your agents. Legitimate national commercials are going to come through your agents. Will you find national commercials on pay-to-play sites? Yes, you will. Do you have to be extremely cautious of the national commercials that you find on pay-to-play sites? Yes, you do, because often the national commercials that you're finding on pay-to-play sites are not necessarily in alignment with GVAA rates or what we would consider to be industry standard rates. Not always, but again, you've got to be able to pay attention to those things so that you can see. So if your definition of big commercial work is national, then yeah, I would say primarily you're looking at agents and online casting. That being said, there's plenty of money to be made in local and regional commercials. And in that case, I would say, so for example, I recently booked a job for a local university, and it was, I think we did 8 different spots. And so at the end of the day, that was a multi-$1,000 payout, which I would consider to be a big job. But that was a local university doing local TV commercials. I guess actually technically it would be regional. It was a statewide thing, but still I would consider that to be a big job. Now, is it a sexy client like Dr. Pepper or I don't know, Arby's or Kentucky Fried Chicken or whatever? No, it's not. But Again, what's your definition of big? Is it big client or big payday? And so if you're looking for big client national commercials, yes, probably you're looking at agents and online casting. If you're looking for big paydays, there's still plenty of those to be found on the local and regional level, and you can get those on your own, reaching out and making connections to production companies in your local region, or really in any local region. Again, guys, welcome to Free Advice Friday. If you are enjoying the broadcast, if you are learning some things, if you're finding the information helpful, would you do me a favor and hit that like button? I would certainly appreciate it, especially if I've answered your question and it's been helpful to you. Hit that like button. If you do have a question that you would like to ask, if you could just go ahead and put a Q beside that question when you type it into the comments, there gets to be a lot of stuff going on in the comment stream, and it's just a little bit easier for me to find those questions that you're asking if that Q is beside it. So I would ask if when possible, please add that Q to your question, and certainly happy to answer as many questions as I can. And thank you again for hitting that like button. Dion Marie says, what genre of voiceover will be most protected from AI? Ultimately, I don't know if any of them will be. I think that there will be use cases for AI across the board. So I don't know that the protection comes in the genre as much as the protection comes in the quality. What do I mean by that? Is it possible that you could have AI voices doing local commercials on small market radio stations one day? Probably. That's probably possible. Is it likely that a big national brand like Nike is going to use an AI voice on their Super Bowl campaign? Probably not. At least not for a while, anyway. And so I think that's what I would be looking at more. In the e-learning space, there are e-learning companies that are already using AI to do their narration, but those are the same e-learning companies that were paying, 3 cents a word, which no voice actor in their right mind should be doing e-learning for that rate anyway. So the low end goes away, but the higher end jobs that are paying 25 cents a word, 30, 35 cents a word, that require a higher caliber of talent, a higher level of acting and script interpretation, those types of jobs, I think they're going to be safe for a while. Now, one day we could come back and I could be completely proven wrong. If you pay attention to the stock market at all and what's been going on with NVIDIA stock, NVIDIA providing AI chips for AI, obviously their stock has gone up like 200% in the last year because everybody's buying AI chips and everybody's buying into AI. And nobody knows, though, are we a year away, 5 years away, 10 years away, 20 years away from some of the replacement that could potentially happen? I don't know the answer to that specifically. So the only thing that I keep saying is the way that you can AI proof yourself in the time being is, one, be a great voice actor, not just a great voiceover. And two, provide exceptional customer service. Because here's the other thing that's going on right now. AI does not just pose an existential threat to voice acting. It poses a threat to all of the different people that we work with as well. The video producers, the copywriters, the casting sites, the agents, all of these different things are potentially impacted by AI. And so we're not in the fight alone to push back or to slow down the takeover, as it were. And so I think that bodes well for us. And so part of what you just need to do is make sure that you are providing exceptional service. And if you are providing that exceptional service, I think that can potentially make you safer for longer. Don says, do you use a service like Dropbox to back up your work? I back up my jobs on a hard drive, but I had to get a new computer recently and my hard drive is not compatible, thinking I should switch. Don, this is a really great question, because it is really important for voice actors to always have access to their files. So I actually have multiple backups. I have my computer, which is my main studio computer, which is an iMac. Files get backed up there. I have a large external hard drive that is connected to my computer that continuously runs a time machine backup. So that gives me another physical backup. But then I am also using Backblaze, and Backblaze is an online cloud backup. And I am a huge fan of Backblaze. I've been using it for a couple of years now. It's a really easy system. What I like about it, you install the thing on your computer. It constantly is updating all of your files to the cloud, so you have a complete backup of everything that you choose, right? You can back up your whole entire computer, or you can just choose to back up select files on the cloud. But everything gets backed up to the cloud. The nice thing about it is this part right here, access anywhere. So recently I was on vacation in Tennessee, and I had a client who I had sent files to before I left, but he didn't download the files quickly enough. I use WeTransfer. He didn't download the files quickly enough, and the WeTransfer link expired. So he says, "Can you resend those files?" I was able to log into Backblaze and remotely, and I was able to get access to all of the files that I needed in order to be able to send that to my client. And so that was a huge plus for me. So again, I'm a big fan of Backblaze. I'm a big fan of having that cloud backup capability. I think it's a really, really helpful thing. And so I would certainly be looking at that. But definitely, the more backups that you have, I think having at least one physical and one cloud-based is absolutely worth it. So Dropbox is certainly an option. Google Drive is an option. If you pay for iCloud and you've got the extended storage on iCloud or the extra storage on iCloud, that could certainly be another option. So there's a lot of different things that you can look at, a lot of different ways that you can do it. But Backblaze was certainly something that I found convenient. I'm just going to place a link in the chat here. You can check that out if you're interested in signing up for Backblaze. Natalie says, "Do we need commercial demos to make a full-time living?" Natalie, I can tell you from my own personal experience, okay? I'm going to speak from my personal experience. I did not get my first professionally produced commercial demo until 2016 when I was making six figures. Up until that point, the bulk of my income was coming from corporate, explainer, and e-learning. And I was making great money doing corporate, explainer, and e-learning. And so I wasn't worried about commercial because it wasn't something that I was booking a lot of. Once I got to a place where I could do commercial right, work with a great coach, Uncle Roy, get a demo produced by a great producer, Uncle Roy, get that demo done, get it online, whatever, that was when I did it. And so in my experience, the commercial demo wasn't necessary for me to make a full-time living. And even though I do commercial work, I just talked a few minutes ago about this big commercial job that I recently booked, it's still not the bulk of my income. So I think a lot of it depends on the genres of voiceover that you're working in or the genres of voiceover that you want to work in, and whether or not a commercial demo becomes necessary to work in those genres. This is from Dwayne. JMC said political would be most protected against AI. Using a computer instead of a person could be used against a candidate. 100%. I believe that. A big part of what is going to come in, I think that is going to become a factor, and I think we're already starting to see it, is trust. Trust is a huge issue. We're already at a point now where we question all of the images that we see on social media because we've been duped by AI images in the past. We're at a point where we're questioning some of the news content that we read, some of the blog articles that we read, because we've been duped. Companies, magazines have used AI to write articles just to see whether or not they can get away with it. And when they've proven that they can get away with it, the problem is that it erodes public trust. And so as that becomes a bigger issue, I think that's also going to become a deterrent against using AI. And I think the example of the political space is a perfect example of where AI could actually come back and bite in the butt. I definitely think. Jeremy says, how do you feel about cloning a voice for subscription service? It would provide quick turnaround for clients for promo, etc., but would be controlled by a gatekeeper or producer. Jeremy, I think if we are going to explore this AI route, if we're going to go down the road where we're going to create AI voice models, which I think is a potentially lucrative income stream for voice actors down the road. Going to be a very unpopular opinion, but I do think that they are going to be a potentially lucrative income stream for voice actors down the road. If you are going to clone your voice, the most important thing is that you hold the copyright on it. You have to hold the copyright on it, because if you don't hold the copyright on it, that's when you lose control of it. If you lose control of that voice and it starts getting used for things all over the internet, that's where you run the risk of putting yourself out of business. But if you hold the copyright on it and you get to decide where it's used, how it's used, and how much it costs to use it, that's a different story. And so then I think there becomes use cases. So an example, I am probably not going to be an audiobook guy. I don't have the time and I don't have the stamina to sit down and narrate audiobooks. But if I had an AI voice model that could narrate audiobooks and it could be working on audiobooks in the background while I'm working on e-learning, corporate, commercial, whatever, that becomes a passive income stream for me. And so that is something that I think the smart and entrepreneurial voice actor should be looking into. Are there ways that I can create one of these models that can work with me, that can work for me, not work against me? That would be the question that I would be asking. That would be the thing that I would be looking at. Richard says, do you have a strategy for where and when you send marketing emails from a geographical point of view? I do have a strategy, Richard. Let me share what my strategy is for geographic marketing, we'll call it. My strategy for geographic marketing is my potential clients are anywhere in the world where my language is spoken. That's the strategy. Throw a dart at the map. Anywhere in the world where my language is spoken, there are potential opportunities for me to book voiceover work. And I have worked in Australia. I have worked in South Africa. I have worked in the United Kingdom. I have worked in Germany, Italy, Spain, France, you name it. I have been all around the globe. I've done multiple jobs for countries in South America. I've done narration in Mexico. So anywhere in the world where my language is spoken is a place where I am open to potentially spending some time marketing to. I'm going to evaluate rates always and determine whether or not it's worth it, but I am open to opportunities from anywhere. In fact, just yesterday, I did a session link session with a new client from Germany who was paying GVAA rates. And so why wouldn't I do that? So that's what I would be thinking about if I were you. Carrie says, how did you get those corporate and e-learning jobs without a demo? Okay. When I was talking earlier about the demo, I did have corporate and e-learning and explainer demos. I did not have a commercial demo. And so because I was focused on corporate, e-learning, and explainer, those were priority demos for me. Those were the ones that I put together first, and I just wasn't as concerned about the commercial. So if you are planning to market yourself to a particular genre, you are going to need to have a demo for that particular genre. Follow up to Natalie's question, is it important to have a commercial demo to get an agent? I would say 99 times out of 100, you are going to need to have a commercial demo to get an agent because commercial is primarily the genres that agents are working in. Now, are there specialized agents that focus on promo, that focus on animation, that focus on gaming? Absolutely, of course. But for the vast majority of agents, commercial is the bread and butter. And the vast majority of agents are not going to look at you unless you have a commercial demo. So yes, if the end goal is to seek representation, then you definitely need to look at getting a commercial demo. Gustavo says, knowing that there are differences between Canada, the US, and the UK grammar, if a client sends you an English UK script and they want it voiced as it is, no corrections, do you do it or reject it? Yeah, Mike, the client is, the customer is always right? At the end of the day, if I will do what they ask me to do, I will voice it the way they ask me to voice it. I will say it how they ask me to say it. If they want me to say process, I'll say process. If they want me to say process, I'll say process. If they want me to say data, I'll say data. If they want me to say data, I'll say data. Whatever it is, but that's important. It brings up a great point, Gustavo, which is have that conversation. Have that conversation ahead of time just to confirm, particularly when there are things like regional pronunciations that you need to watch out for. Absolutely worth having that conversation and making sure that everybody is on the same page. Want to take a minute to let you know about the latest episode of the podcast. Anna Lawrence had questions about how to prepare for the fourth quarter and how to make sure that she was going to be able to finish the year strong. reevaluating goals and making sure that she was ready for the holiday season. And so those are all things that we're talking about on this latest episode of the podcast. It is available wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. It is available online at VOpreneur.com. And of course, the video is available right here on my YouTube channel, so you could jump over and watch that as well. Great stuff happening on the summer series, which there is, I believe, one more episode of the summer series left. And then we are getting back into regular interview episode series starting again in September. Stevie says, thoughts on tracking auditions as a beginner? Info like who it came from, amount, useful business data. I think that there can be information in there to a degree, but I'm more interested in tracking my jobs, right? I can track my auditions all day long, and I can follow along with data points. You know, I submitted this many auditions for that genre, this many auditions for this genre. The average price was this much and that much. I think there's certainly things that you can learn about budget from tracking auditions. I think you're going to learn a lot more from tracking bookings, though. Bookings are going to tell you what genres you're doing well in and what genres you may need work in. Bookings are going to tell you what specific directions you may be really good at and what specific directions you may struggle with. So if you are booking all the authoritative professional reads, but you're never booking the conversational reads, then that might tell you that it's time to work on conversational, for an example. So I do think that there can be valuable insight into tracking some of that stuff, but it's not something that I would spend an overabundance of time on because there are better things that you could be doing, like sending marketing emails, making connections, reaching out to potential new clients, etc. All right, guys, welcome again to Free Advice Friday. If you do have a question that you would like to get answered, please don't be shy. This is an open floor, an open forum. I am happy to answer your questions for you. You can type a Q before your comment. That will make it stand out on my screen. The way the comment feed is blowing by me right now, the Q helps me to find your questions. But if you do have a question that you would like to ask and get answered, please don't be shy. That's what I'm here for. I would be happy to answer as many questions as I can in the time that we've got left. Also, if you are enjoying the broadcast, if you are learning some things, if you've picked up some helpful advice already, I'd appreciate it if you would hit that like button for me. That would mean a lot. Don't forget to tell your friends about Free Advice Friday and joining in on the live streams on Friday afternoons at 1 o'clock. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel as well so that you will always be able to get notified when I am going live. So again, if you've got a question that you would like to ask and get answered, anything is open season for me on the business and marketing side of voiceover. I can't always promise it's going to be a great answer, but I can certainly promise that I will do my best to try and answer it for you. And that's what I'm here for. That's what this is all about. All right, let's see. Jeremy says, follow-up question. Best way to go about owning the copyright for my voice if I clone it? This is going to probably depend a lot on the company that you work with. There are companies out there that are going to charge you money to create your AI voice. And when you are paying for the creation of your AI voice, you should definitely hold the copyright on that. Although, as a warning, it could cost you up to $10,000 plus to create a voice clone. So whatever company you ultimately decided to look into, it would be worth reading the contracts really well. Or if you're not comfortable with that, having an attorney look over the contracts just to make sure you fully understand what you are signing up for, because you do not want to give away the rights to your voice. That is a dangerous, dangerous, dangerous thing to get into, particularly in this current AI climate. Natalie says, are the bulk of VOs that are doing this full-time working in corporate narration and e-learning? I don't know that there are actually any specific statistics on that. What I will say, Natalie, most people who are doing corporate narration and e-learning, they're not talking about it a lot online because it's not sexy. So you will see the big commercial bookings. People will promote the crap out of those because they're sexy and they draw attention and everybody pats them on the bum and says, good job, right? If you book a national commercial for McDonald's, everybody's going to pat you on the bum and say, good job. If you book a AAA video game and you have the opportunity to do one of the starring characters, you're going to post that online because everybody's going to pat you on the bum and say, good job. If you book a very significant role in an animated series, you're going to post that online because people are going to pat you on the bum and say good job. But when I say that I just finished doing a 2,500 word e-learning module for a cybersecurity company that nobody's ever heard of, I post that online and people are like, what? Who cares, right? Because it's not sexy. So I think that there are more voice actors doing it than you probably realize. I just think that it doesn't get mentioned as much on social media because of the fact that it doesn't give us a credit that we can get a pat on the bum for. That being said, if anybody would like to give me a pat on the bum for doing a good job on corporate e-learning and explainer and all that unsexy non-broadcast stuff, let me know. And I will accept it because I work hard and I'm proud of every booking that I've ever done and every invoice that I have ever cashed. Will says, thank you so much for doing Free Advice Friday. The conversations are always thought-provoking and most helpful. Well, thank you very much for that, Will. That is exactly why I'm here. That is exactly why I am doing this. Hopefully giving you guys a little bit more advice and insight that will help you on the next leg of your voiceover journey. That is absolutely what the goal is here. Dwayne says, I've been told to keep files for all work that I do. How do you organize those files? Yeah, Dwayne, I think this is really important. I would say particularly in the e-learning space, this is really important. I have had e-learning clients come back like 5 years later and say, we need to update this module. And when I have the original audio from that original session 5 years ago, it makes going back and doing the updates really, really easy. One thing that I will do at the end of every calendar year, I will dump all of my voiceover files for that year onto external drives, usually 2. That way, I'm not keeping every single voiceover file that I've ever done right on my computer. I archive them, so to speak. So the only thing that is on my computer right now is 2023 narration. But in December, I'm going to create a 2024 folder. I'm going to dump the 2023 folder onto external hard drives, and I'm going to keep backups of them that way. So I keep all of my voiceover files organized by year, right? So there's a blanket folder, 2023, and then inside of that, there's a folder for every one of my clients. And inside of every client folder, there's a folder for every one of the jobs that I've done. So that big annual folder goes into an external hard drive and gets held onto for as long as necessary, because you never know when somebody's going to come back and ask for it. Vanessa says, any thoughts on what I should charge for doing social media reels for local businesses? I take photos and videos and create 15 to 45 second reels with the script, VO, music, and video editing. Wow. No, I don't have any idea what to charge for that, because that is like a full-blown production service. I would be, if I were in your shoes, Vanessa, I would be doing the same thing that voice actors do. So when you are a voice actor and you're not sure about a rate, you go into a voiceover community or a voiceover forum and you ask that question of people within the industry. Can you find the equivalent of that in a production space, social media content creators or video producers or something like that? Can you find an equivalent community, whether it's on Facebook or on LinkedIn, that you could become a member of and that you could ask that question in that community? I think that might be the place to go and get the answer to that, because honestly, I do not have I don't have a good answer for that. Thank you very much, Gary, for the pat on the bum. I feel the love all the way here. Thank you for the props and the kudos for the great job that I did on the latest cybersecurity e-learning. I actually just finished another one probably about 10 minutes before I came online for Free Advice Friday. I was just delivering the audio on another one. Oh, thank you. Look at you guys all giving me the pats. I feel special. I feel the love now. All right, let's see. Where else are we going? Again, guys, if you've got a question that you would like to ask and get answered, feel free to type it into the comments, and I'm certainly happy to answer those questions for you. Don't be shy. Natalie says, how often should we update or change our demos? I think there's a couple of factors at play here. Number one, is your demo still current with trends? So an e-learning demo might last a lot longer than a promo or commercial demo, for example, because the e-learning trends don't probably shift as much as commercial does. So the first thing I would be looking at is it still relevant to the trends that are booking in that genre today? That would be one thing I would be looking at. The second thing I would be looking at is Is it still an accurate representation of me and my skill? So your first demo is always going to be your worst demo. And that's only because hopefully over time you're continuing to get better. And so as you get better, I can't tell you how many times I've worked with voice actors who one of the reasons why they're not marketing is because they hate their demos. And they hate their demos because they were their first demo or they were their second demo and they're so much better now. If you're afraid to market because you are not happy with your demo, that is a sign that it is time to get your demo updated. And that could be because you've improved. It could be because the times have changed, the trends have changed, etc. I think the other thing that I would be looking for, is there anything in your demo that noticeably dates your demo? You have to be very careful when you're choosing spots that you don't choose anything that's too current and on trend. You're looking for things that are more evergreen, right? If you have a demo that's filled with a whole bunch of COVID-19 spots that you recorded in 2020, that's not going to land the same way in 2024 when you're marketing next year. And so those spots, maybe that doesn't mean you need to redo the whole demo, but maybe it means that you need to redo some of the spots on the demo. So those are some of the things that I would be looking for. And I would also say that, consulting with a producer who knows more about this stuff than I do, because I can tell you from a marketing standpoint when it's time to update your demo, but a great coach, a great demo producer, they are going to be able to answer more so as to, is this demo still relevant in the marketplace? Is it still on trend, et cetera, et cetera. Do you have an invoice template that you recommend? I actually use waveapps.com for my invoicing, waveapps.com. It's just W-A-V-E, waveapps.com. And I just use the template that they have created in Wave. It's nothing fancy. I threw my logo in it, put my address on it, put a couple of notes in it about my, late fees and revisions policy, et cetera, payment options or whatever. But nothing too crazy, nothing too fancy. All right, let's see what else is going on here. Guys, I do apologize if I have missed your questions. I'm trying to keep up, but they are coming at me fast and furious. Let's see what else is going on. Giovanna says, hit subscribe. Just check and hit that button because I didn't realize I wasn't, and Mark provides amazing free advice. Well, thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Yes, please hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. You'll get notified whenever I go live for Free Advice Friday or whenever new content is getting posted. And I'd appreciate if you'd hit that like button as well. If you've picked up anything helpful, anything useful in this particular edition of Free Advice Friday. I want to talk a minute about the Ultimate Subject Line Reference Guide. This is a resource that I put together for voice actors because one of the most common questions that I get asked when it comes to email marketing is, what do I put in the subject line? So I created a resource guide that is going to answer that question for you. It offers 5 different themes that you can use when you're trying to come up with subject lines. And then it breaks it down. There's actually 40 pre-written subject lines that you can use for your consideration. And there are also just a number of best practices that you can take into consideration as well when it comes to writing subject lines. So that is the Ultimate Subject Line Reference Guide. If you jump over to VOpreneur.com and if you click onto the store link and you scroll down, it's right there. This is an instant download. As soon as you sign up, you will get it. And guys, it's only 27 bucks. This is, according to some of the people who have purchased it, 27 of the best dollars that they have invested in their business this year. Because if subject lines are one of those things that stresses you out, if subject lines are one of those things that keeps you from writing emails, if subject lines are one of those things that you think may be holding you back from finding the success that you want in your emails, then this is 27 bucks. That's not a lot of money to spend to get this reference guide. And there's some testimonials there from people who have picked it up as well. So it's not just me saying that it's good. That's available at VOpreneur.com again, and just click onto the store link. All right, where are we going? What else is going on? Appreciate you guys hanging out, by the way. Thank you for coming always on Free Advice Friday, for asking your questions. I love answering the questions that you guys have because it helps to keep me sharp. And so this is one of the reasons why I appreciate it. It also helps me to have a better understanding of what areas you're struggling with, what things you need help with. And so that helps me to be able to provide better content for you. Finding different guests for the podcast or coming up with different content for webinars or YouTube videos or whatever. And so I certainly do appreciate you guys coming, appreciate you hanging out, appreciate you asking all of your questions. I'm just scrolling back through to see. Oh, here's one from Stevie. It says, what are some types of content a newer VO could share on LinkedIn? I have individual spots within various demos that can be shared. What else adds value and is attractive? Part of the question that you need to be asking yourself in order to answer that, Stevie, is who is your audience? So who are the people that you are connecting with on LinkedIn, and what kind of content might be valuable to the people that you are connecting with on LinkedIn? So let's just say, for argument's sake, that you are connecting with documentary filmmakers, and the bulk of the people that you're focusing on right now and all of your efforts on LinkedIn are documentary filmmakers. Then what kind of content would be relevant to documentary filmmakers? What kind of content would add value to documentary filmmakers? Is it articles on the subject of filmmaking? Is it a recent blog that you listened to with Ken, or a recent podcast rather, that you listened to with Ken Burns about, making the perfect documentary or whatever? So remember that, yes, we want voiceover related content. Obviously, we are trying to promote our voiceover services, of course, but we also want to make sure that we are thinking about our audience and making sure that the content that we are providing adds value to them. And so if all I'm ever doing is going on LinkedIn and sharing my demos, that's not really adding a lot of value to my audience. So think about your audience, think about who that person is, think about what kind of things would be helpful to them, and that can give you some clues into the type of content that you can share. I have been talking nonstop since I got up this morning because of coaching sessions and recording sessions and now Free Advice Friday. And I'm finally starting to feel like, my throat, I need a break. All right, let's see. What else is going on? Again, if you've got a question that you would like to ask and get answered, don't be shy. Type it in the comments. When you type your question, put a Q beside it. I'm keeping an eye out for it. I'm always happy to answer as many questions as I possibly can, and certainly keeping my eye out for as many of those questions as possible. Hopefully, I'm not missing anything. If I have missed your question, I do apologize, and you can certainly put it back in the comments again. I'm just scrolling through, looking to see. Where are we going here? Let's see. Vanessa says, I'm finding that local marketing is really going well, and it feels very comfortable to work with local businesses. There are a lot of ad agencies in my vicinity. I think this is a brilliant and overlooked strategy. I think sometimes we get so focused on the voiceover that's out there, and I think because of casting sites and agents and all of that sort of stuff, we're always looking out there at the big cities and all of that sort of stuff, and we're not recognizing that there are companies right in your community that could benefit from your voiceover services. There are offices that might use IVR. There could potentially be larger companies that might require e-learning. There are probably businesses who are creating video content for social media. There are probably businesses who are creating commercial content for local radio, local television. And so there is absolutely something to be said for devoting some time, some effort, some attention, and some energy into marketing right within your own community. Because one of the advantages that you have when you are marketing right within your own community is that local connection. You go onto an online casting site and you submit for a job on an online casting site, and in 7 minutes, 100 other voice actors have already submitted. What if you walked into the local video production company and met with them, brought in some coffee and donuts, had a face-to-face conversation, and you're the only voice actor in your community? That presents a really unique opportunity. If you are interested in diving deeper into local marketing, if you go to VOpreneur.com, click on store, scroll down here, booking in your backyard. This is a 2-hour masterclass that I offer that is dedicated wholly and completely to local marketing and giving you ideas, strategies, and tactics for going out there and finding work and finding opportunity right within your own community. So again, if you go to VOpreneur.com, hit the store button, and then scroll down and look for booking in your backyard. And again, this is instant purchase, instant access. You could start watching that class as early as this afternoon. But there are definitely opportunities to market in your local area. And I think it's something that more voice actors should be thinking about and taking advantage of. Genevieve says, I'm wondering if you have thoughts on Facebook and networking. I find when I mix VO connections with my personal page and groups, I'm scattered and do not make meaningful connections with anyone. I think that there is an opportunity to network on any of the social media platforms. I'm not convinced that Facebook is the best platform for that kind of networking, though. And maybe that depends on how you use Facebook, right? My Facebook profile is primarily for my friends and family, right? Now, I do obviously interact in the voiceover community and in the VOpreneur Facebook group. But my profile is primarily for friends and family. Now, if you do have a Facebook business page and you can get your clients, your leads, your prospects to connect with your Facebook business page, that's certainly an option. I just have found for my own sake and from my own marketing efforts that there are networks that lend themselves a little bit better, I think, to marketing and networking directly with my clients and buyers. And I think LinkedIn is probably my favorite of those. And maybe Instagram would be my second. Carrie says, I'm writing articles for Training Magazine and ATD. My goal is visibility. Do you think that will pay off in the long run? Oh, Carrie, this is a really great question. And I think, yeah, I do think it's going to pay off in the long run. Anytime that you have an opportunity to do anything that builds your credibility, so writing a guest post, being a guest on a podcast, doing an interview with someone, being a featured speaker at an event, joining a group on Clubhouse, coming on a live stream on YouTube. Anytime that you have the opportunity to put yourself out there as an expert, anytime that you have the opportunity to build your credibility with your buying audience, it's going to make you more recognizable. It's going to make you more trusted. Part of marketing is the whole concept of know, like, and trust. Your buyers need to know you. They need to like you. They need to trust you. How do they get to know you, like you, and trust you? By getting to know you through the things that you are doing. And so creating that kind of content, Carrie, I think that's a really great opportunity. And I absolutely think that that is a strategy that will pay off for you. And I would be very curious to hear more about that as some of those articles begin to get published. I would love to know if that is panning out for you. And please email me and keep me updated on that, because I'd be very curious about that. Thank you for this plug, Vanessa. I appreciate it. Booking in Your Backyard is a great class. I appreciate that. And remember, go to VOpreneur.com, click on store, and Booking in Your Backyard is right there, one of the master classes that is available for purchase. Vanessa says, I wrote a book on adult ADHD and it's coming out this fall. I'm trying to decide if I should create a separate website for the book or if it's okay to create a subpage on my voiceover website. Ooh, interesting question. I think I'm going to say a subpage on your website. I'm going to say a subpage where you can intentionally direct people to it. But then everybody that's visiting that page is still going to be able to come back to you and see what you do. They're going to be able to find out a little bit more about you. So I'm going to say a subpage. And I don't know what your website is, but let's just say it's VanessaJones.com. Then it would be VanessaJones.com/ whatever the book title is, or VanessaJones.com/book, right? So it's a really easy URL that you can promote and drive traffic to, and it's going to give them everything that they need to know about that book. But if they want to link back, they can go over to your website. Now, that's what I'm going to say. I would be very curious to know what somebody like Karen Barth would say from voice actor websites, or Joe Davis would say. Even Gina Scarpa, and you know what? Send a message to Gina Scarpa and say, Mark Scott told me on Free Advice Friday to send you a message. Go to Gina's website, send her an email, say, Mark Scott told me on Free Advice Friday that I should message you and ask you this question. Don't tell her what my answer was. I'm very curious to see what her answer was. I want to know what she thinks from an SEO standpoint, right? Because again, I can answer that question from a marketing standpoint, but the marketing standpoint and the SEO standpoint, those two things might not always jive together. So I would be very curious to know what Gina has to say. So, reach out to her, drop my name. Maybe she'll get back to you and give you an answer. And maybe that answer will be different from mine, but I'd be curious to know, because I think I would want to have that on one page. I know the argument that you could make is that those two things aren't so closely related, right? It's not like your voiceover page and your on-camera page and your theatrical page and your singing page and all of those things all tie together and you keep them all on one website. But we were just talking about ways that you build credibility and authority. Being an author of a book, to me, that builds credibility and authority. So, all right, everyone, that just about wraps it up for Free Advice Friday today. Again, just one final reminder that Voiceover Marketing Playbook is coming very soon, September 12th through the 21st for Voiceover Marketing Playbook, and that will be the last time that Playbook is available in 2023. So keep an eye out for that. And I'm going to tell you right now, I do have my virtual assistant working on building out a lead list. Depending on the package that you purchase for Voiceover Marketing Playbook, if you sign up on day one, you could get up to 400 voiceover leads. That's a pretty sweet bonus offer. So something to keep in mind and something to keep an eye out for if you are thinking about doing Playbook. You're going to want to do it on day one so that you can take advantage of that special bonus offer. Thank you so much, as always, for joining me on Free Advice Friday. Let me take a look at my calendar. Next week is September 1st. I do not currently have anything scheduled, so I will probably be back for Free Advice Friday next week for September 1st. Again, hit that subscribe button so you will always get notified whenever I am going live on YouTube, and hit that like button if you have picked up any advice, if you've picked up anything helpful from it. And if you came in late, remember, you can always go back and watch the replays. I will be going back and adding chapter markers to all of the different questions that got asked, but all of the replays of Free Advice Friday, all of those archives are available right here on the YouTube channel as well. All right, everyone, whatever you decide to do this weekend, have fun, stay safe, and as always, go find some leads.